You are listening to Gameday Tarps podcast with Riley, Dakota, and Dallas.
Welcome back to Gameday Tarps. This is episode 28. Riley, Dakota, how you boys doing today?
Pretty good, boss.
Pretty good. We got a lot of things to cover. We've had about a 2-week hiatus, but there's a lot of news surrounding the NHL, the CHL, and other hockey news. So I think we'll just get right into it. Just remember, guys, please like, subscribe, and comment. And thank you, as always, for watching.
Of today, 2 weeks worth of news, like you said, but let's just go right with today. It officially, Arizona Coyotes are moving to Salt Lake City, Utah. Players and staff have been told, according to Sportsnet. So, what are our thoughts here, guys? Like this, in about a week, it went from Utah could relocate the Coyotes, and then all of a sudden, it's just like boom, done deal in like a week.
For me, it's kind of about time. Coyotes have been not the team necessarily bad, but like just the fact that you can't get an arena done for 1-2 years now, 3 maybe, I don't know. And it's not like they're not an exciting team to watch, but you got nowhere to play, and if Salt Lake's your best option, then sure. And Bettman wants to bring Arizona back, so like you were saying kind of off the recording there, Riley, be smart with the money you receive, right? Try to maybe get an arena in there.
Yeah, and the proposed arena deal was to be completed for the 2027-2028 season. So Arizona was looking at playing in Mullet Arena, if they even let them stay, for 2 to 3 more years. And I think the other owners of the NHL were just fed up because they pay the difference. When Arizona loses money, all the owners have to chip in to balance out the loss. So they were looking at this like, what are we doing here? There's a guaranteed $1 billion offer from this buyer in Utah. Why are we not taking it? And then, yeah, sure, if Arizona wants to come back, fine. Let the owner buy the team again in the future as an expansion team. But as of right now, like, they are dead in the water. They're just a total negative.
Well, you boys pretty much said it perfect. It's about damn time, all right? This whole scenario reminds me of that old commercial. I don't know if you guys remember. It could have been State Farm, whatever, but it was the one where the guy has the fucking dollar bill on the fishing line. Says, I got you $1. Oh, gotta be quicker than that. It's the same deal with this arena, man. They've been saying, we're gonna stay. Oh, relocation rumors. We've been going back and forth with this for, I don't know, frickin' how long. It's about damn time. You know what? Like, just have a renaissance, a rebirth with this franchise. It's time to move on. Utah, I'm pretty excited to see them coming into the fold, and I'm sure they're going to have a lot of success there. But with Tempe, Scottsdale, Phoenix, like when you have the mayor saying, don't put this arena anywhere near my city, the public vote got denied by councilors. Like, this is a clear example, or examples, plural, that they don't want anything to do with the Arizona Coyotes, and that should have been some clues. Yes, you're trying to, salvage what you can with the team, and as fans, as outside fans, like, to us, it's looking like the state itself, they don't care for the Coyotes, but you guys keep pushing this agenda like, hey, great hockey, great hockey team, it could do a lot of amazing things for the fans in Arizona. Well, there's a lot of crickets in Arizona, and I don't mean like actual crickets, but it's like radio silence. Nobody wants the Coyotes there. Like, just move on. How many times you're going to try to revive them, or are you just going to try to, keep them afloat? The owners of the NHL don't want to keep piggybacking this idea because they're losing out on it. They're forking up too much to try to keep them afloat. So you know what? Move on. I'm glad they're gone. But I will say this one last point, boys, is that there are 2 teams, and I'm pretty sure it's your Flames, Dakota, and the Oilers, who could move to the Central and then bring a team, the Coyotes, and maybe one more team, I think, to the Pacific Division. Now, I don't know if that's just rumored or confirmed, but we'll see. But I think it'd be a good move.
So Well, I'll go back. I'll backtrack a little bit, and then I'll come back to that because I did hear one thing on that. But in terms of the Coyotes, like this goes back to the conversation we keep having about willing owners, right? Until this Utah ownership group came up, and then like Anson Carter in Atlanta and the Houston ownership group that's now popped up. Outside of those ownership groups, like there were no one really buying NHL teams. So Arizona's owner wants a hockey team, is committed to having a hockey team. So Bettman
He's
kind of
been
had to help him out.
adamant.
Yeah, Bettman had to help him out. He was like, well, there's no other buyer, right? Like the team can't just lose its owner, right? Like it's got to do something. So now that the Utah one came in, I think next year, no matter what Utah goes in the Central, it just makes the calendar a wash, right? Like it makes Arizona out, Utah in, done deal.
Yeah,
But
no expansion, no 33rd. You're still looking at 32 teams, so
exactly. But after
playoff
that,
format stays the same.
mm-hmm. And then after that, you can do like, sure, restructure now. Dally, the one that I saw, I don't think you will like because the two teams I saw going to the Pacific were Utah and Colorado. Do you
That's
really
not
want
bad.
Colorado
You don't want that, dude.
in the Pacific?
The Central's pretty locked, man. You got Nashville, Dallas, Winnipeg, Colorado, and then you got, the cellar dweller Phoenix Coyotes as another example. I like the Central. I mean, it got a lot of juggernauts in there, but going up with the likes of the San Jose Sharks, the LA Kings, Anaheim Ducks, Wham Wham Oilers, South Edmonton, you got the Calgary Flames. But I personally wouldn't be offended if they moved to the Pacific, hypothetically.
I don't know, man.
But
That's about to be like the hardest division in hockey. You have Vancouver, Seattle on the rise. You'd have Utah, who we don't know what Utah could be with their new ownership. Then you have Vegas, Colorado, LA, San Jose, and Anaheim. Like all crammed into one.
I mean, Utah is going to be no different than what Arizona already is, right? Because when the players transfer over to Utah, and then if Arizona ever came back, they would just get a new team.
Yeah, it would be an expansion team. But
what you're saying,
who
Riley,
wants to live in Utah. We don't know who wants to live in Utah that didn't want to live in Arizona, right? Like
Utah's one of the best states, I think, nature-wise too. They got a lot of great national parks. I think there's a lot of amenities around Salt Lake too. But
for guys who just want to settle down with their family, way better than Arizona. Way better, way less people, way less crowded. You won't be like a star that people would know. Like way better.
Well, I also want to go back on that too, Riley, because Colorado has a lot of good rivalries in the Central, and I'm not too sure how the landscape would change because you got like St. Louis versus Colorado, Colorado versus Chicago, and then up and coming Nashville Predators who have made a big surprise after the All-Star game. But there's like, I don't know, like geographically wise, I think they'd be better off in the Central. However, I don't know.
I don't see the point of moving it because
travel time.
Utah's right below Colorado. So it's like, obviously they have to stay linked. But you have Edmonton and Calgary linked, and it's like they're already in the Pacific. So you're either taking two teams basically in that same line from America and putting them in the Pacific, or you're keeping the two teams in that same line in Canada in the Pacific. Like either way. The stupidest thing that they could do is be like, yeah, we're going to move Colorado and Edmonton to the Pacific, and we're going to move Calgary and Utah to the Central. Like, split it up.
I don't think they would switch Calgary and Edmonton out of different divisions. Like, if they're getting moved, they're probably getting moved together.
Yeah, it's too much money to keep the Battle of Alberta separate.
Well, I wanted to quickly touch base on this topic. I don't know if you wanted to go over it, but I'm just going to quickly say it, is that for anyone out there, we have a Junior A league called the KIJHL, and the Merit Centennials have folded in the BCHL and were sold to a new private management group. So they're making the move from the BCHL to the KIJHL. However, a big talking point was the travel costs for even such a small market team. And the same could be said for NHL, right? Like certain divisions are set up so you spend less money operating and doing all your traveling, right? So like for Merit as example, smaller market team, who are they going to play? Kamloops, Chase, Princeton. They're going to play Quesnel now, that is also a new franchise. William Lakes, that's a new franchise, and also 100 Mile. So within that like 2.5 hour driving range, like I think it's perfect keeping certain teams in certain divisions. These are examples, by the way. So like Colorado, Nashville, Colorado, Chicago, Colorado, Dallas, yada 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 yada. I think it's good that, and you, Dakota, Calgary, and Edmonton, infamous rivalry. You guys are what, 2 hour drive from each other. So I think it just works out financially best for certain teams to be in certain divisions for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I
agree.
honestly think that it's probably, well, just to go back to your like merit thing too, I think that's just better for them to be in the KIJHL rather than be in the BCHL. Like, I don't think merit could really compete with BCHL anymore.
Yeah.
So I mean, they might dominate the KIJHL, but at least, you know, it works out in the end for everybody.
I kind of love how Merit forced the BCHL to not be hypocrites. They announced that they're leaving the league before the end of the season, and after the BCHL like kind of criticized the AJHL for kicking their teams out of their league for leaving, they were like, "Do it, kick us out of the league." And then so the BCHL released their statement. The Merit Centennials will be allowed to play all scheduled playoff games for the remainder of their season. We thank them for their years of service in the BCHL. Like, they totally made them fold the chair because they were like, nope, you bashed the Alberta Junior Hockey League for ditching their 5 teams that joined the BCHL. So I think that was smooth by Merit to kind of force their hand and be like, you can't do anything about this.
And apparently with their round 1 series with Salmon Arm, like it's 2-2 apiece right now in the series, and I want to say it was an owner or general manager. Anyways, one of them came on the radio and said like it just lit a fire under their asses. Like, you know what, this is a last hurrah in the league, right, in the BCHL. So like they're playing with their, you know, heart on their sleeve. They're giving it their all because I'm pretty sure come next year it'll be all new coaches, players, yada yada yada. It's like
Yes. Yeah.
Slapshot. It's gonna be like Slapshot. When they knew the team was gonna be sold, they had to go out there and play with their hearts and give last one hurrah. So
yeah, because all those
it's
players are BCHL players, so they will be free agents in the BCHL. And they could drop to the KIJHL, some of them, if they wanted to. But
and I like Dakota's talking point. Like Merit is a historical franchise, okay? They've been there for a long, long time, right? And the BCHL just had their 60th anniversary, I think 1 or 2 years ago. You know, great
Merit
franchise,
had
but
51 years of that 60, so
mm-hmm.
that's pretty incredible.
Like we alluded to, they're a smaller market, so they'll thrive in the K, right? You know, and they want to revitalize, you know, the junior hockey atmosphere in Merritt. They want to get the fans more rejuvenated and more excited to go to a Sens game, and I think it's a great opportunity for them for sure. I mean, Dakota mentioned that, you know, the BCHL, like it's true, they just couldn't survive with the top talents like Penticton, Prince George Spruce Kings, like, you know, stuff like that. So I think it'll be a good opportunity for them for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of all this expansion too, and I mentioned Houston and Atlanta, Tillman Fertitta is leading a Houston group, and Vernon Krause is leading an Atlanta group with, I believe that's Anson Carter's group as well. I could be wrong, but those two groups met with the NHL in New York City this past week about expansion teams in the NHL. So all of a sudden, in the next 5 years, we could have Utah, Houston, Atlanta again, and if Arizona again come back in the next 5 years. We could have those 4 teams all join the league, potentially.
I still don't think Atlanta should get a team.
Same.
Follow the money. Follow the money.
Same with
and they're gonna be losing it.
You know, I would rather Atlanta over Arizona. Atlanta never had the problems that Arizona had. Their owners just sold because they were under like 60% attendance most of the time. Like they still had people from out of town. It's like it wasn't as bad. Arizona's been kicked out of so many arenas. Like it's just that's way worse. In my opinion.
Agree to disagree.
Fair enough. You should love Atlanta. They birthed your team. Without them,
they also
there would
birthed
be
the
no
Winnipeg
Calgary
Jets,
Flame.
though, too. You know.
True.
Yeah, but Winnipeg was already birthed, and then they birthed.
Well,
Arizona.
the new iteration.
Just think about
Not
it. Teemu
the-
Selanne is going to be like the franchise leader for the
buddy,
Utah.
I'm talking
something.
about the after 2011 expansion.
Yeah,
that
rebirth.
came from Atlanta.
Yeah. Well, let's speak of Arizona right now quickly because I have this at the top too. And a really cool story. Ex-Blazer for us, Kamloops Blazer. Long time Coyotes captain. If anything happened, at least this happened. Shane Doan's son, Josh Doan, has finally made it to the NHL. He was called up. He scored 2 goals in his debut. He's just had a fantastic start to his career. And it says, Josh and Shane Doan become the second father-son duo in league history to both record a point in their NHL debut with the same franchise, joining Bernie and Danny Joffrion with Montreal December 16th, 1950 and October 23rd, 1979. So this hasn't happened in forever. So pretty bit of cool history there for the Doan family, with Josh also being the only ever Arizona born, Arizona raised, and Arizona product to be drafted and play for the Coyotes specifically. Obviously, we all know.
And he's been playing in the same arena, right? ASU. He's been playing with the Sun Devils, so
yeah, he just moved up the locker room a little bit. Yeah, let's start breaking it down here because I have this. The first thing here I thought we'd break down is who do we think is going to end the season and win the President's Trophy for the teams this year. So I'll pull it up here for us. The standings, we have wild card. There we go. We have Boston 107, Florida 106, Rangers 110, Hurricanes 109, Dallas 109, and that's probably it unless the Canucks at 105 can pull it out. But probably not because they only have 3 games, so they can only get a max of 111. So they're probably out. So Rangers, Hurricanes, Bruins, Panthers, Stars. Who do we got? President's Trophy. Right now, the Rangers are winning that race.
hottest team in the NHL right now. I'm going with Dallas Stars, man. That's my pick.
Hotter than your Penguins?
Buddy, Penguins are just going to be making a second wild card, and they're just above Detroit and Washington.
Yeah, but hottest team in the NHL right now. I would
Buddy,
say it's Pittsburgh Penguins.
only because of Mr. Sidney Crosby, but I mean,
Dallas
I
is
still
literally on a 1-game losing streak. Pittsburgh's only on 1. Actually, the hottest team in the NHL right now is Winnipeg with a 5-game win streak, by the looks of it.
yeah, but with
Carolina
Dallas's
4.
ridiculous scoring from literally every line they throw out there against their opposition, like, watch out in the playoffs, man.
They're deep.
Watch out.
I'm wrong.
Yeah, but
Islanders
Just
have
watch
6
out.
games.
They
Just
might
watch
have
out.
all the offensive power in the world, but Ottinger can crack under pressure there, pal.
You can. I mean,
True.
Wedgwood as well, but
And you know what? A hot Boston team, a hot New York team, they'll dismantle Dallas.
Dallas got dismantled in 2020 by, drumroll please, Tampa
York
Bay
Yankees.
Lightning.
Oh, 2020. Sorry, you're right.
I was
missed the
honestly
year.
I was
missed the
thinking
year.
of the year Calgary took them out, but
I missed the year there. Sorry. Yes, thank you.
who was in net?
Appreciate it.
Dallas, Ottinger, buddy.
No, it was Hudobin.
When Calgary played, it was Ottinger.
Anton
I'm
Khudobin.
talking about Tampa now. We're throwing all over the place. I'm going with the Hurricanes. I think the Hurricanes are going to win the President's Trophy. And I only say that because the President's Trophy curse is real, and I don't believe in Carolina as a playoff team.
I mean, speaking of Carolina, did you see Frederik Andersen is the winningest goalie in NHL history in their first 500 starts? I think it was.
Mm-hmm. I think something like that, yeah. And since he's come back from that blood clot issue, I don't even know if he's lost in regulation.
Freddie Anderson's a beast, man. Never count him out. He was good for Toronto, and they sorely miss him. I'm sure.
Dude, I think he was good for every team he's played for.
Yeah,
Anaheim too.
Toronto, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
the
I'll
Toronto
leave it.
media pushed him away. It was all the Toronto media that blamed everything on Freddie Andersen when they just didn't have a good team.
And you know who would look good in Toronto right now over Samsonov? 100% Freddie Anderson.
For sure.
You want to know another fact, though, quickly about the boys from Raleigh, North Carolina, is that Mr. Jake Gensel himself has the most points in NHL history of a player being moved at the trade deadline. He's got 22 points, I think, in 15 games played with the Carolina Hurricanes, so it's the most in NHL history. I thought it was a cool fact.
He's a good fit there, man. But that's
Excellent fit.
That's my pick for President's Trophy, Carolina Hurricanes.
I mean, you know what? Even Kuznetsov is playing good again, you know? So that's another
He
cool
found
thing
his
to see.
mojo.
Yeah.
Who do you got, Dak? Who's your President's Trophy winner?
Sorry, who is the top 3 again right now? Number 1 is Dallas, right?
Nope, number 2. Well, tied for 2. 109 is Carolina, Dallas. Number 1 is the Rangers. And then just behind them, 107 Boston, 106 Panthers. No one else is really in it.
Well, I could see Boston, honestly.
Yeah. They've been a little cold lately, but I don't think Boston isn't built for it either. Like for the playoffs, I mean. When you look at their team, they have 15 overtime losses, which is okay for the regular season. It's why they're ahead of all these teams. But like they only have 2 more wins than Tampa Bay, and they're 9 or 11 points ahead of them because of overtime losses. Guess what happens in playoffs when you lose in overtime?
You get beat by the Florida Panthers, buddy.
You lose. So
Game 7, Brandon Montour.
To me, literally the most dangerous teams in this playoff are the Panthers. If the Islanders make it, the Islanders, the Lightning, and the Penguins. These 4 teams.
Did you just really count out the Rangers? Didn't you really just count out the Rangers?
Yes, I did.
That's insane.
Dude, Shesterkin isn't even their starting goalie all the time right now.
That's fine, dude, but Rangers...
Never count out the blue shirts.
Guaranteed playoffs, they're going to be insane.
They're going to probably... Well, dude, I don't know. Pittsburgh's on a roll. They're going to be playing Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh's got
dude,
one guy
they're going to steamroll
right now.
They're going to get steamrolled, my guy. I'm a Penguins fan, and I already know. I'm already expecting it. They're going to get steamrolled.
I would bet against the Rangers 1,000 times over the... Like, okay,
I'll make a bet with you right now, guy.
If you said the Penguins a month ago, I would have said absolutely cakewalk. The Penguins right now are the hottest team in the NHL. They are playing like their lives depend on it.
Yeah, but that's thanks to Crosby. That's literally thanks to Crosby. And guess what? He ain't 20 years old anymore, bud.
Oh, I know.
He's going to be gassed in the playoffs.
What happens if the Penguins
Because he put his team...
Give it to me. Handshake deal. What happens if the Penguins beat the Rangers? If it is the Penguins. This is all depending on if the Penguins actually make the playoffs. What's your...
Rangers all day, baby.
What's your wager?
I will buy a Lightning jersey, but if you lose, you, sir, gotta buy a Colorado jersey.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I think you do know about that one. You know it's facts. Rangers.
I was thinking like $20.
Let's be honest. Riley has to run a Florida Panthers jersey.
I would though. I like Florida,
and you got to cheer for them all year next season.
I mean, Tampa might be folding next year, so this isn't awesome. Bandwagon.
If I see you with a Kachuk jersey, dude, I'm crying.
I'll do it. I don't know, we'll work something out. But if Penguins win, there's something on the line for sure.
Man, you got a lot of faith for a non-fan. Oh,
dude, they're like 30 points behind them, and I have full faith that they're gonna. Because this is what happened to Tampa with Columbus. It's the team that's playing playoff hockey right now that comes in ready to go, and Pittsburgh's been playing playoff hockey for a month and a half.
Dallas, if Pittsburgh wins, you have to burn your Murray jersey.
Oh, which one?
I don't know.
All of them.
The Pittsburgh Murray, that's all I gotta say.
Okay.
That's a tough sell, boss.
Listen, you can keep the Stadium Series.
Okay, yeah, those are my favorite.
Wait.
Yeah, Stadium Series.
If the Penguins win, you burn the one you choose. If the Penguins get swept,
you have to cut one arm off. You have to cut one arm of one jersey.
Wait, this is a tough sell.
No, I wouldn't make you do that, Dally, because I'm not burning jerseys no matter what you tell me. So
You wear Murray to work, bud.
True.
On concrete day.
Yeah,
On
on
concrete day.
concrete.
Concrete bottom day.
Damn.
Yeah.
And then making
Alright.
mix that day too.
Might as well just face plant into the concrete too, as it's just setting.
Literally. But
Fuck.
you have to put Murray in the bottom of the concrete. So Murray will be at the bottom of that pool for years.
He'll be forever in the pool.
Wait, I'm almost screwing myself with this too because I'm saying that the Hurricanes are going to come first in the division. So that means it would be Hurricanes versus Penguins, and that one I'm less sure about. But this is specifically if the Penguins beat the Rangers. That's all this is about.
Dude, they're not, though. They are literally not.
Dude, there's always one wild card
Buddy,
team that
I'm willing
wins.
to bet Keandre Miller puts Sidney Crosby into retirement.
Dude,
Keandre Miller.
No.
Buddy, 6'5" guy coming at you. Done.
Speaking of the Rangers, though, just quickly, let's jump. Did everyone see Fight Night? The 5-man fight brawl, 2 seconds into the game. Just start the Rangers versus the Devils.
I heard about it. I didn't watch it.
Yeah, it was hilarious. And the one thing I heard, so it was Lazar versus who was on the wing? VC. So it was Lazar versus VC. Right off the face-off, Barclay Goodrow whips his gloves off and goes straight to Kevin Ball on defense, who's like 6'8". I don't know what Goudreau wanted that one for. McDermott and Rempe dropped right away. And they said the one fight that they were like, oh, the poor guy who had to fight. They said, oh, poor John Marino had to go fight Keandre Miller. And I was like, oh, fair enough. But John Marino's like 6'2" and Keandre Miller's 6'5". Fair enough. Let's talk about Chris Tierney having to fight Jacob Trouba. Like 5'10" versus 6'6". Like,
Yeah.
no
Jacob
way that was fair.
Jacob Trouba probably in that fight decided he wanted to take his stick and whack him in the head like a baseball bat. I wouldn't put it past him.
If you watch the above view, Trouba comes from the blue line, skates straight towards Tierney, and he's like, let's go. And Tierney's like, okay. Like, you can tell he doesn't really want it because he's like, of all these guys on the ice, I have to fight Jacob Trouba.
I mean, though, actually, no. The one thing I did watch of that is Keandre Miller doing the too small thing to Marino, and Marino just even Marino. I like it from what I seen. Like Marino was just like, yeah, whatever. Like he took it like a champ, but I just thought that was funny.
Yeah.
You want to hear something stupid, boys? That I tried posting that fight also on TikTok, but then like the account got flagged and says, this is a strike towards your account, pending appeal, and I'm like, okay, so I get in trouble for posting that fight, but NHL on TNT's account, right, on TikTok, can full willy-nilly post that video without repercussion. I'm like, wow.
But they have broadcasting rights for the NHL, so they can post whatever they want.
But it's still violence, though, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you're rebroadcasting.
Oh, it was a violence thing?
Yeah.
TikTok's
community guidelines, right? You can't post, fighting or nothing. So it's like, okay,
isn't
so
there
what
UFC
the hell?
all over that?
Yep, WWE, everything.
I don't use TikTok,
blood.
so I don't know. Yeah, like there's WWE, there's UFC, like all over. So what is NHL fight?
What's the difference? Yeah, no fighting, violence, etc., etc. I'm like, dude, like talk about fucking favoritism or whatever the fuck it is. But whatever. I had to say that it was dumb.
Yeah.
Try to give our followers on Gameday Tarps TikTok, some entertaining content. And no, you get flagged, buddy. Strike one.
Weird.
Bozos.
This was like
TikTok.
Beginning of 2 weeks ago, but Ethan Bear did go for an indefinite period of time to receive care from the NHLPA Players Assistance Program. So hopefully Ethan Bear can figure it out. I don't know where it went wrong for him this year. He battled so hard to earn that contract in Washington. I don't know what happened, and hopefully he can sort it out for himself. But it's just unfortunate to hear that he's not able to continue this year. More relocation news. The Capitals and Wizards are not going to Virginia after all. That deal fell through, so we will no longer be discussing that anymore in terms of relocation. Dahlia, I know this is something that you were looking forward to. This draft has actually happened, the OHL priority selection. Windsor had the first overall pick. Then it was Sarnia, Peterborough, Niagara, Barrie, Flint, Owen Sound, Kingston, Guelph, Erie, Ottawa, Sudbury, Mississauga, Brantford, Kitchener, North Bay, Oshawa, Sault Ste. Marie, Saginaw, London, and Ottawa. So that was the order from 1 to 21. So your Windsor Spitfires, your hometown team, they had the number 1 overall pick. I know they drafted a defenseman with it. I don't remember his name, but
Ethan Belchitz.
Ethan Belchitz.
6'5", from the Oakville Rangers.
So that, congrats to all those kids who now have their shot to play in the OHL and play in the CHL and hopefully have their names called in the NHL draft in 2 years when they are eligible. So congrats to all
Windsor
that.
hasn't had a first overall pick since 1976, so 49 years ago. That was the last time they had a first overall pick, and they selected Jim Fox. But yeah, it's been a long time coming.
They've had success since then, though, even without rounders. So watch them just be a major
didn't
bust.
Even have drafts then. The WHL was still just signings.
Sean Day 2.0.
Sean Day.
Hey, he's a prized piece of the Tampa Bay organization. Just kidding. Like I keep saying, Tampa's called up 8 defensemen this year, and Sean Day isn't one of them. So that
might as well
tells you
call
something.
Quinn Schmiemann.
Speaking of defensemen, Tampa Bay's never going to see in their roster. Hanafin signing that 8-year deal with Vegas, that was wild. I didn't see that coming.
I didn't see it coming in the season still. But
I also didn't see the length coming. I thought if he was going to I thought if he was going to re-sign, it was going to be 3 or 4 max, not an 8.
No. He's in the prime of his year, he maxed it. Because what if in 3 to 4 years he sucks? And he's like 31, and then he's like getting $1 million or $2 million to play. Like,
well, that just furthers your point then. So like Pietrangelo, White Cloud, or Hague, like someone's going out. Someone's leaving at the end.
Well, they definitely said Martinez. That's probably retirement.
I like Martinez could be, yeah. So
they said Hanafin
someone's getting
obviously
outed.
An upgrade. But they can't keep Marchessault. He's gone. He's a, what is he, a 40 goal scorer, 50 goal scorer? Like, he's gone. There's no way
he's gonna want him. Big payday, boy.
Because they signed both Hurdle and Hanafin. And,
well, I don't think they signed Hurdle. I think Hurdle came signed.
Sorry, he came signed. You're right. They added his contract, and now they've added Hanafin's contract. But I was kind of getting into it with one guy who was telling me, like, I was bonkers for thinking that was a steal of a deal. Like, we're talking about Noah Hanafin being signed for under $8 million a year. Like, his comparable players in the league are like Darnell Nurse and Mikhail Sergachev, and both those guys make over $9 million. I didn't think there was any way he was making under $9 million on this next contract, just based on the market value of the guys that are out there.
Under 8, that's such a good contract for him too.
Exactly.
Like it would be easy to move.
Their future first line is going to be Shea Theodore and Noah Hanafin. Like,
yeah,
that's a pretty damn good first pairing, and then they'll have White Cloud and Hague as their second pairing. Like, this team is built.
If Hanafin can stay as a consistent guy, because he's another guy that can be like, he can play streaky, where he definitely makes some questionable plays on the ice, but if he can figure it out in Vegas, dude, they'll be insane.
And that's exactly why I was thinking about like Darnell Nurse and Sergachev are his exact comparison, because both those guys are streaky. Both of them make risky plays that often backfire. And it's just, you get a great defenseman, but you give up a little bit in the security of the way that they play. And I thought that's where Hanafin fit. I was like,
but you know what? We're in you almost have to play Hanafin with a very stay-at-home defenseman, because Hanafin will go up and make a play in the offensive zone, but you can't. I don't see a way you can make it work unless you have a defenseman that can read Hanafin so well, knows when he's going to jump on the play and goes, okay, I got to stay back. But if you have two guys that are like the same mindset as Hanafin, you're kind of screwed on D.
Exactly. Yeah, it has to be like a perfect
you need
situation.
you need like a Tanev player with Hanafin.
Yeah. One thing I didn't think of though that I literally just thought of when he signed was, oh yeah, totally forgot his best friend is on Vegas. Like Jack Eichel. They grew up together, drafted the same year, played together through all their Boston years, and like these two guys have known each other forever. Vegas traded for him. Now he's with his best friend. They're playing on a championship caliber team. Like, what incentive was there for him not to sign? You know what I mean? Vegas played this so well that it makes complete sense why he's staying.
Sounds familiar, Riley.
If you were comparing Noah Hanafin to Jonathan Duran right now, you are on absolute drugs.
You're on cloud 9, buddy.
Buddy, I'm just saying the comparison with going and signing and playing with your best friend, buddy.
Traded for.
There's a difference between
assets.
playing. No, there's a difference between playing with your best friend and having your best friend carry you. Literally,
buddy, keyword you
carry
used:
to the playoffs.
reunited.
Dude,
I heard the keyword.
I was going to avoid this topic.
Carried to the playoffs.
Best friend reunited. End of story. Jonathan Duran, career year in points, buddy.
50. Gollies, it's 54. MacKinnon almost has 150. He's a third overall pick. He's so
buddy,
bad.
next year, Jonathan Duran's going to have more than 100 points.
Next year, he's going to be 30, and he's going to have 30 points.
Probably not.
Here's the thing. Is he now going to get greedy and price himself out of Colorado? Because
probably not.
He's only there because Landeskog's on LTIR.
Okay,
right?
We'll ship out Miles Wood. See ya.
Why? Miles Wood has value as a fourth liner.
Not really. I'd probably get rid of Jakob Trenin too.
You can find anyone to stand on the ice for MacKinnon to pass to and get 50 points.
Facts.
Anyone.
Buddy, wait till you see playoff Jonathan Duran. Guy's gonna go beast mode.
Dude, you could put Connor Brown on a line with McKinnon and probably get 50 points out of him.
But here's the thing, though. Everyone claims McDavid's the best player in the world, right? But they play on the same team. Maybe not the same line, but they play on the same team. You think he'd be feeding them and getting them points? Guy scored his first goal in how many freaking games? Like, Jonathan Duran confirmed better.
He didn't even score. Okay, it went off his foot.
I mean, Brown's had since then?
Damn.
Two goals since then.
At least
one for sure. No, he has.
Okay, that's good.
He scored again.
Good for him.
Attaboy. Ex-Erie Otter, what's up? Respect.
Yeah. Want to talk about a good junior career?
Playing with literally one of the best OHL teams in the 2010s.
The year before McDavid even showed up, him and Dane Fox killed it. And then it was the year their 20th bomb year that McDavid showed up and they all went crazy. But they were carrying Erie the year before too.
We may have more Memorial Cups, but damn, I will respect Erie that they had a great list of players in the 2010s. Like, no roast. Like,
insane.
They had a lot. Insane. Insane rosters.
I mean, another third overall bust, though, that came from Erie. Strome.
Oh, no,
Strome.
I'm sorry, I'm mixing it. Galchenyuk was...
But you know what? Strome's still a better player than Duran. Just saying.
Definitely is. Absolutely agree with that.
Does Doan Strom have a Memorial Cup? No, they don't, because they lost to the Windsor Spitfires. And who won in 2013 in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan? Jonathan Duran and my boy Nathan fucking MacKinnon, baby.
Who got carried to it? Duran.
No. Jonathan Duran him and MacKinnon were scoring 150 plus points in junior. What do you mean? He was the one carrying.
Never again, buddy.
But that was junior.
Yeah, and that's why he went third overall, because he was worth it. Tampa knew what they were getting into.
No,
because they got rid of it.
Hold up. You guys keep talking. I'm doing it.
And you know who didn't see that Duran wasn't a good enough player? Yzerman. Yzerman knows what he's doing, bud.
From the Hockey Writers, 2013 redraft, MacKinnon, Barkov, Elias Lindholm to Tampa, Josh Morrissey, Jussi Saros,
probably not even top 5.
Bo Horvat to Calgary, Darnell Nurse, Mackenzie Weegar, Jake Gensel, Oliver Bjorkstrand, Andre Burakovsky, Seth Jones, Shea Theodore, Ryan Pollock, Pavel Buchnevich, Max Domi, Alex Wenberg, Brett Pesci, Sean Monahan, Jonathan
Monahan
Durant.
dropped that hard, dude.
Probably because of his injuries.
Holy.
Probably because of his injuries. But guess who he's ahead of? Jonathan Durant, who dropped to 20th.
But how do you do Pollock in front of Monahan, though? Like, boy,
I mean, Pollock
that
is
is
a great
garbage.
defender. Pollock is way up
Dude,
there,
but
too.
over
He was like,
Monty,
what?
though?
Pollock was 14th.
And you think I'm on drugs about Drouin? Holy.
Buddy, if Monahan
What?
didn't have 2 hip surgeries, dude, he'd probably be insane.
And dude, Pollock and Pellick are one of like the best defensive pairs in the NHL.
Yeah, say that 5 times fast.
Pollock and Pellick are one of the best defensive pairings in the NHL.
No, just
I
Pollock
can't
and
say
Pellick,
yes.
dude. Just keep saying it.
Pollock and Pellick, Pollock and Pellick, Pollock and Pellick, Pollock and Pellick, Pollock and Pellick. 5.
Buddy, New York Islanders suck. End of discussion.
I don't know.
Pellick.
They're on a 6-game winning streak.
Yeah, they're going to lose in the playoffs.
I know, dude, like, he fell to 20th in his own draft in this redraft. And I bet you'll find more.
What do you mean he fell 20th in his own draft? My guy.
The redraft, he just went from 3rd to 20th in the redraft. That's what I mean. Not in his, he went 3rd in real life. He went 3rd. But he just fell to 20th in the redraft.
I feel like he could drop a little bit more, but who's some more notables that went in the second round?
Here. This is what it says here.
Dude, a 7th round defenseman went ahead of him, alright? Just take that, alright?
This is what it says. So, again, thehockeywriters.com. 10 years later, Mantha remains a solid pick where he was drafted here, but the Red Wings scoop up Durant, who fell all the way from 3rd overall. Well, this is really a coin flip between Anthony Mantha and Durant. The former Lightning forward does add slightly more value as he can play center as well. That's what their
That's his only
argument is.
upside, but
That's his
he can
only
play center.
argument. Yeah, no, there's no positive. It says maybe if he joined a veteran-led leadership group with like Zetterberg and stuff, he would have turned out. But he joined a team that had Martin St. Louis as the captain.
Yeah, veterans,
like,
though.
Yeah.
That's a veteran, though. And he couldn't even get his act together then.
It was Martin St. Louis, Eric Brewer on defense, like Victor Hedman and Stamkos were emerging. Like, what more do you want out of guys who are like leaders in the NHL in today's game?
All right, I know where this is going. Move on. Enough of that garbage.
Dude, I
don't want to
not
hear
even
it.
gonna bring it up, and then
There's no winning, bud.
Okay, let's go to the WHL draft, which is coming up here in the next couple days. Unfortunately, Dally's got a lot to say here. We all do, I think, because the Kamloops Blazers get the first overall draft pick in this draft, except for they traded it to the Everett Silvertips. And the first overall pick is going to be exceptional status, first defenseman ever granted it in the WHL. It is going to be...
Dad was also a former Blazer.
His dad was also a former Blazer, Mickey Dupont. I'm forgetting his name. Landon Dupont? I think it's Landon. Landon Dupont is his name. Let me scroll down here to find it.
And his dad was also ex-Flame, no?
Yeah, he was
I
drafted
believe
by
he
the
was.
Flames, I think. Yeah, Landon Dupont. So he becomes the first defenseman to be granted exceptional status, son of former Blazer and WHL Defender of the Year, Mickey Dupont. I think if you actually look in Mickey Dupont's stats, I think he has the most gold medals with Canada because every year for like 15 years straight, he played at the Spangler Cup for Canada. I think he has the record for that. Yeah, he will definitely be the number 1 overall pick. So, I mean, go for it, Dally. Talk about what we're all thinking with the Blazers losing out on a generational WHL talent. Not saying a generational NHL talent because that is way yet to be seen, but a generational WHL talent.
I wanted to start the segment by calling out the always awesome John Keane on the Blaze podcast. He said it perfectly himself. He said that was the price of business, and the Kamloops Blazers knew it. Okay, they knew what they were getting into with the Ryan Hofer and Olin Zellweger trade. Okay, no matter how many times you spin it and the results are the same, right? We all know that Kamloops did not win the Western Hockey League Championship 2023. They did not even make it out of the
First
tiebreaker
round.
game against the OHL champs, Peterborough Petes. They had a Toronto Maple Leaf scenario where they are up 4-1. Third period rolls around, 4-4, and then
versus
overtime
a team that they
loss.
beat 10-1 in the first
Yeah,
game.
the last game they played. Yeah, so it's just like, now from my perspective, I've never respected this trade, but the Kamloops
true.
Blazers would have been roasted from the get-go if they didn't pull a move like this off. Now, with that being said, though, it's like, could this trade have been any different? Like, maybe you could have kept your 2024 first round pick,
Well,
but maybe
look at Vegas, right? With Hanafin. They didn't even give up their 24. They gave up their 25 as a conditional 25, and they used that to trade, and Calgary doesn't get till 2026 now. So could
Oh,
Kamloops
exactly.
have traded 25 and 26 first rounds to get that done
Right?
and keep their 24, and they're just like, have a little something to be happy about if you tank the following year, but
Well,
Like,
and are conditions not allowed? Like, where's the condition? Because Zellweger could have come back this year, right? Like, he's age eligible to be in the
him and
WHL.
Stankoven probably could have played one more year. Well,
Exactly.
Stankoven, yeah, they could
But
have
when
both
you're
played.
trading, so you're going to give up a guaranteed price for Ryan Hofer. He was a 20-year-old. That was it. End of the year for him. He was done in the WHL. So give up the guaranteed price it's going to cost to get him the rest of the year. But for Zellweger, like, why are teams not doing conditionals? Conditional 2024, but a guaranteed 2025. The condition
the
is
OHL
if
does
Zellweger
it.
comes back. Yeah, if Zellweger came back this year, yes, Everett gets the conditional 2024 pick guaranteed, and they get a 2025. But instead, it's like everything was 100% guaranteed.
Or like a protected pick, like if it's top 3 protected.
Exactly.
And
like
then get the
something.
following year or something,
But
yeah, like just
I think that with what Kamloops' situation was, because we all know that it wasn't rumored, because Elliot Friedman came on the 32 Thoughts podcast and confirmed that there was a trade in place for Connor Bedard, but it got vetoed because he wanted to play hockey in June overseas or some bullshit or whatever the hell it was. But it's
that
like,
he didn't even do.
he didn't even do, and his Regina Pats got thumped by the Saskatoon Blades in 7 games. So there's your one playoff opportunity, and you blew a first round. Okay, you could have came to Kamloops, and you also could have had a Memorial Cup run. Add that to your resume. Now, I don't want to say anything, but word on the street is that not a lot of GMs, maybe in the Western Hockey League, wanted to do trades with Sean Clouston, general manager of the Blazers, but he was maybe getting desperate and he had to pull a trigger on something, because we said earlier, right? Like, if Kamloops didn't pull a big move, they would have looked stupid, right? They didn't go all in for this Memorial Cup.
Yeah.
But it backfired because they did go all in, and now look at it. Landon Dupont has been granted exceptional status, first Western Hockey League defenseman, second ever. So second ever player in the Western Hockey League. So it's just like, now you look like fools in the Memorial Cup as hosts, and you literally gave up your entire future and a 2024 first round pick, which you basically got first overall, but now Everett owns it, and they're going to draft that exceptionally status player that's going to be a game changer, a franchise game changer. So that just makes you look even more like foolish, but they're just rolling over and accepting it. It's like, oh, it is what it is. But it's like, things could have been. It has to now, because you can't change it. But it's like, guys, like, there are so many different things you could have done. Like, maybe GMs didn't want to trade with him. Who knows, right? We don't know. But like,
well, the least
I'm sure
point of leverage of all trading scenarios is the fact that your team is guaranteed to be in the Memorial Cup. Like, every other trade is hopeful, right? We're trading for this player in hopes to get to the WHL Championship, in hopes to get to the Memorial Cup. But when you're in the Memorial Cup, any team training with you goes, no, you're guaranteed to have this player for the Memorial Cup 100%. So it's maximum value if you want this player, because you're guaranteed to have them.
Saginaw is showing how you bolster a roster before the Memorial Cup. They were already firing out the gates within October, November, what does Kamloops do? They wait till January, February at the Western Hockey League trade deadline to pull a big move like that. Saginaw already out the gates, beginning of the season. Yeah, we're going to start building fast, get these guys acquainted with each other, start getting some chemistry going before playoffs in the OHL, right? They are showing the epitome of how you build a great team with great players before, these trade deadlines happen. And Kamloops was desperate, and they look desperate.
Well, I think Kamloops was probably also just hopeful that Bedard was going to land in their lap, just because him and Stankoven were good buddies. Him and who was it? Was it him and Minton are also good buddies?
Yeah.
Because I think they're both from.
They grew up, yeah.
Oh, right, Bankier, because they're from like Vancouver or something. But
yeah,
that's what I was going to say too, Dak.
But like, I think they were 100% expecting to have Bedard end up there, and you know what? That probably wouldn't have been a big deal, because at least if you had Bedard, then hell, they would have thought that was for sure going to win them the Memorial Cup.
Think of like the Zellweger trade though, like how much they gave up. Think of what the Bedard trade would have had to have given up, right? Like just sell the franchise to Regina, why don't you?
It was probably because if Bedard wanted out, Regina's almost forced to be like, okay.
Yeah. But there was also rumors he wasn't happy in Regina at one point too. Before, when he was in Kelowna, there were some rumblings of like locker room troubles with the coach and on their BC road swings. So who knows, right?
And
but
I mean, Kamloops, 2 things to note. 2 things, like, I think that the Blazers literally spent exactly what you said, Dally, like all the way to January, February. Literally what you said, Dakota, pitching Regina the whole first half of the year. Because that was going to be all their assets was given to the Pats, right? They were just everything. Every trade offer was to Regina. Every thought, every opportunity was, is Bedard willing? Is he ready? Here's the offer. Do you accept it? No, you need more? Okay. And then by the time it came to Zellweger, it could have been a case of they had to outbid somebody else. Which means, like you said, Dally, they waited too long. They didn't give up on Bedard early enough. Then they waited right till the end on the last day or whatever it was of trade deadline. Probably had to outbid for Zellweger, but they also wanted Hofer. And to add Hofer, they had to add more. And it cost them to be in the situation they're in today.
Here's a thought that always crosses my mind that nobody else touches base on, okay? Who was our biggest rival the last 3 years? Just tell me, who's been our biggest rival in the Western Hockey League the last few years? They're a powerhouse.
Like I'd probably say Seattle.
Yes, sir. Seattle Thunderbirds. Now, what did they do last year? They got the rights to Dylan Guenther. They got the rights to Brendan Lambert from the Saskatoon Blades. They got Dylan Guenther from the Edmonton Oil Kings, and they got Colton Dach from the Kelowna. Now, why couldn't we gone after big names like that? Why didn't Kamloops go all in before Seattle decided to pull the trigger on those moves, right? We could have been totally different, like TJ Ginla. We could have had TJ Ginla, right? There's just certain players, like, you could have done things totally different players, like, I'll never stand by the Zellweger trade.
So if you were to compare the WHL to the NHL, right? Like, in terms of living, like, if you want the city to live in the WHL, like, Kelowna pretty much tops most of the lists as, like, a New York or LA. Because, like, the Vancouver Giants aren't Vancouver. They're like
Langley.
What are they? Yeah, they're Langley.
Langley Event Center, yeah.
Like, so it's nice. There's lots of nice houses. There's lots of nice neighborhoods, but it's not downtown Vancouver, right? So it's just like, meh, right? So Kelowna is kind of like the premier place that guys want to come to. There's 150 ex-NHLers that live there. You know, yes, they got Tej, so, like, you know, Ginla lives there. Ginla's kid is there. Like, Kelowna is always going to pull more than Kamloops. Like, really, Kamloops doesn't have much to offer, guys. Like, in terms of living situation and stuff like that. Like, what does Kamloops have that's going to pull people in? Whereas Kelowna is a hub. Kelowna has a lot.
But they're rental players, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, and they got these guys for a lot less. The Dylan Guenther trade, the Brad Lambert trade. Like, it made Kamloops even more, like, look like fools.
But you have to remember why that was, though, because Guenther was in the AHL. Lambert was in the AHL. And
they weren't guaranteed, that's true.
And they told their teams, we will not play for you. What did those teams do then? They have no choice. They had to trade them. Dylan, will you come back and play for the Edmonton Oil Kings, who are dead last in the WHL? No. okay, we're going to trade you. Is there certain teams you won't go to? Yes, definitely. So the trade value is shot now, right? Like, it's okay. Will you play for the Seattle Thunderbirds? I guess so, right? Like, now it's just a low pick or whatever it was, or a prospect, and they get Dylan Gunther
Just
for nothing.
because we'll come full circles because they waited too damn long to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And they went all in on Zellweger. End of
Yep.
story. Sucks.
Well, they got
Great player,
Jakub
great
too.
person, but we just couldn't. That wasn't the trade to make, boys.
They got Jakub too.
True. The year before.
Ashton Furster from Medicine Hat too, but you know.
Yeah.
And Shea Van Olm from the Edmonton Oil Kings.
Yeah, that one was just okay. He was all right this year.
Smaller trades, you know.
Last year he wasn't. Him and Furster were pretty useless last year compared to this year where they had bigger roles.
They were the veteran guys now, yeah.
Exactly.
Everybody got shipped out this year, though, too.
Yeah. Let's jump back to the NHL, though, boys. We got 3 players with 120 points in the same season for the first time since 1996 in McDavid, Kuch, and MacKinnon. Obviously, now they're all over 130. Kucherov's over 140, so they're climbing. Then McDavid with players with 3 consecutive 120-point seasons on that list in NHL history is Gretzky, Lemieux, Marcel Dion, Guy Lafleur, Phil Esposito, Paul Coffey, and Connor McDavid. So not many guys have had 3 straight 120-point seasons, and the fact that he's doing it in today's day and age, like these guys are doing this, is pretty incredible.
What was another stat? Does somebody have 100 assists yet?
No, he's at 99 and Kucherov's at 98.
Yeah, so if one of those guys were to get 100 assists this season, they'll be one of only 3 players, or I guess 2 players right now.
I think it's 7 players on that
to have
list.
100 assists in a season.
Yeah, just from the old days. Lots of guys from the old days.
I think it's only Gretzky, Bobby Orr.
And oh yeah, you know what? Sorry, it's happened 7 times, but you're right. Only 3 players, because Gretzky's done it so many times.
Yeah,
you're right. Sorry. And I was telling you guys I was going to tweet that out. Like, McDavid has 400 points the last 3 seasons. Like, that's actually absurd. To say that out loud, he has 400 points in 3 seasons.
Yeah, he's that's just over 100 points a season.
It's like 133, literally 133 points a year. And I saw something with Tampa Bay. They were interviewing Brandon Hagel, who's been a great player on his own right this year. They were asking him about Kucherov coming up on 100 assists. And he's like, well, what do you want me to say? I just scored my 200th point the other night. And he's about to, like, almost get that in a single season. Right? Yeah. Like, he's close to 150 points. He's like, what do you want me to say? Like, the guy's unreal. You can't replace him. Like, that's just wild. But I think it's so good for the game of hockey. I keep seeing on Twitter, Paul Bissonnette, or X, whatever you want to call it. Paul Bissonnette keeps saying, this is the best season the NHL has ever seen. From all aspects.
And the top 3 guys are putting a battle for that Art Ross.
Mm-hmm.
Which is awesome to see. 3 guys that are almost neck and neck for points.
Oh, it's one of the most exciting races, I think. Like,
yeah.
It's going to come down to game 82. You watch. Because it's going to be Edmonton, Colorado, game 82. They play each other. And we'll see if McDavid can top MacKinnon or MacKinnon can top Kuch. Like, it'll come down to the wire. It'll be interesting for sure.
And I was telling you this before the episode, Dally. Like, I'm going to go off here a little bit about the Hart Trophy race, because I think it's kind of stupid, all the double standards that everything goes for. Look, it's going to MacKinnon. They did a pre-poll vote. It's going to MacKinnon. Fine. I'm not even mad about that. It's the fact that they have Kucherov 4th behind Austin Matthews. Because just a couple weeks ago, it was, if McDavid gets 100 assists, he's the MVP. No question about it. You cannot say he's not the MVP. That was what was being said about McDavid. Now Kucherov's about to get 100 assists, and all of a sudden he's the 4th best player in the NHL. Like, I get that Matthews might score 70, and it is fantastic. But we were just looking at this before the episode, Dally. Kucherov is leading the NHL with 141 points. He's 11 points ahead of McDavid right now. He is, oh geez, where is he? You have to go way down. He's 135, or sorry, not 135, 35 points ahead of Austin Matthews. How does someone who's 35 points off the point lead deserve to be in the top 3 conversation in the NHL? I get he's scoring 70. I completely understand that. But when that's all he's doing, like, he has 38 assists. He doesn't even have 40 assists on the year. How is someone who's not even getting 50 assists in the top 3 players in the NHL? Because I want to go back. If everyone's saying goals, all this matters, whatever you want to talk about. If you come to the 2011 Hart Trophy race, okay, I'm typing that in. Hart Trophy voting results. You had, it might have been 2012, not 2011. It went to Evgeny Malkin that year, which was fine. He had a great year. Crosby was injured that season, so Malkin really put the Penguins on his back, and he led that team to a very strong season. But you had Steven Stamkos score the first 60-goal season since Alex Ovechkin had scored 65, and he lost to Malkin by 8 points at the end of the year. So somehow 8 points, but scoring 60 goals was not enough to deter them from that. But 70 goals and 35 points behind is good enough for Matthews. Like, I want to hear your guys' side of it, because I'm just baffled at how, like, and I keep seeing that everyone is saying if Matthews wasn't in Toronto, he would have higher voting. And I'm like, what is with these Toronto fans?
I think
crying?
It's because he's in Toronto, he's getting the higher voting.
Exactly.
Toronto has such a high standard for starter players. And I don't know, I think in Toronto, Matthews is overhyped. I think put him on a different team. I mean, he's still a great player. He's going to be an elite scorer. Like, that is what it is. But why aren't the guys passing him the buck getting any credit?
Exactly. And, he's only like 23 or 20. Like, he's much less ahead of the next best player on his team in points wise than Kucherov. Kucherov just broke a record. If the season finished today, he would have the highest points differential between him and the second best player on his team. Last I saw, it was 56 points between him and Braden Point. Pavel Bure led the NHL in that stat. It was 55 points in between. So, like, when you talk about most valuable player to their team in the NHL season, I don't see how it's not Nikita Kucherov or MacKinnon as 1 and 2. McDavid, he's just fallen off at the end here. You got to respect it. Like, he should be 3rd, no question about it. If he didn't have the slow start to the year, he would be 20 points ahead of Kucherov.
Well,
Absolutely.
in Edmonton, I'm pretty sure Edmonton's not even playing McDavid right now. I'm pretty sure they're trying to keep him healthy for playoffs, so they're not playing him.
Exactly.
At least the last couple games anyways, but like,
he's day to day, so they're taking it easy.
Yeah. But I mean, Matthews, to me, he might be the greatest goal scorer in the league since Ovechkin. That's fine. I'll give him that. But he's not an all-around good player if you're only getting 38 assists. And the season's over just around the corner. And yeah,
he's
like
selfish.
He's not even at 50 or 40 for that matter. So, that's where I'll put MacKinnon, Kucherov, and McDavid all better than him as an MVP-worthy player. But when you can't do anything other than score, if you got 100 goals in this season, sure, like, hand it to him.
Absolutely, but that's beyond. It's so
like
that would be
like
incredible.
100 goals, 38 assists, whatever, But no, you're just breaking 100.
And it's not even knocking the fact that he has 70 goals. Like if this were a year, like if it was the year that Stamkos scored 60 and was 8 points behind, like if it was that same situation, but Matthews scored 70, absolutely he deserves the trophy over someone who's like 8 points ahead of him and scored 50 goals and had 57 assists or whatever it was for Malkin. Like that's pretty tame numbers to lead the league. But when you're 35, like you can't be considered the best player in the league because he's, what does it say? He is in 6th in the NHL in scoring. You have Panarin and Pasternak ahead of him with Kucherov, MacKinnon, and McDavid too. So like, you're just going to disrespect Panarin like that too? Like Panarin's had a hell of a year on them. He has almost 50 goals and 70 assists. He has 47 goals and 70 assists. That's a fantastic year for someone who's just outside of the top 3. And he is getting 0 love from anyone. And then you have Pasternak, who has 47 goals as well and 60 assists. So, like, you know, these guys are right there.
And you know what? I would probably give Matthews a lot more credit as a good player if, say, he had his 70 goals, 38 assists now, if he missed, like, let's say, 20 to 30 games in the season and then did that.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, man. You came in midway through the season and just lit it up. Sure.
Yeah.
But you played almost every game this season.
Exactly.
So,
and like, again, like I'm not trying to disrespect Austin Matthews' year. That's not where I'm coming from. I'm just coming from the point of that much of a point gap can't be ahead of the guy who's currently 4 points ahead of the second best player in the league, which is MacKinnon, and 11 points ahead of Connor McDavid, who scored 156 points last year, whatever he scored, like 153 or whatever. Like when you talk about the pedestal, right? Like there's McDavid, then there's MacKinnon, and then there's kind of some other guys. But like people saying Matthews is on the same level as those guys, to me, is not like, even Kucherov is not a well-rounded enough player to be in consideration of that good. He's a fantastic point getter, but if you look at Kucherov's stats, he's like a +4 on the season. He's a +11 now. He's climbed it, but he's only +11 compared to Nathan MacKinnon's +37, Connor McDavid's +34, right? Like, so you see what I'm saying is like Kucherov is not a very good defensive player. Everyone knows that. But in terms of what he's doing offensively right now, it's second to none. Literally.
yeah, it's honestly just it's the market, dude. If he was on a different team, I guarantee they probably wouldn't really consider him, but it's Toronto, dude. Like he's in the biggest Canadian market, and you look at his superstar status or celebrity status, I should say, and who he talks to, who he's buddies with. Like, I think it's the market he's in, and it's the hype he gets outside the hockey market as well, I think. So
Take it from me, boys, okay? I lived in Southern Ontario, okay? They think they're the center of the universe down there, okay? Like it's mind-boggling, like overhyped, egotistic, like, but you know what? Come playoffs, we all know where you all stand, so
Yep.
you know, you guys can do wonders in the regular season. By the way, William Nylander's been on a bit of a slump after signing that contract. He hasn't been in his, you know, doing his little 10-game plus point streaks or anything like that, scoring a lot.
He's at 96 now. He's 10 behind.
It's just, I like Dakota. You said it perfect. I mean, like I don't know, man. Like if it wasn't Toronto, they'd be a different story. But it's just there's a thing about Toronto. It's just overhyped. That's just like come back to reality. Come back down to earth. All right, like you guys aren't all that in a bag of peanuts. You know. Exactly. What have you won in the last 20 years? Tell me. I'll wait. Okay.
A first round. Pick. I guess not a couple. They've had just one
first overall pick, or one first round win, or whatever. Versus my Lightning, but the other stat I saw too is so Kucherov is responsible for 58% of Tampa Bay's goals this year, whether goals, primary assists, or secondary assists. They took Kucherov, MacKinnon, and McDavid off their teams. And Matthews off their teams. And Tampa Bay was the only team that does not make the playoffs of those teams without their star players. Not only that, Tampa was bottom of the Atlantic Division without Kucherov's points. That is below the Ottawa Senators. Like, that's how bad they would be without Kucherov. So just in terms of the MVP race, most valuable player to their team, most valuable player in the league, I don't know how they're just disrespecting Kucherov so bad. It just doesn't make sense to me. But I get, look, MacKinnon's going to win it. Everyone knows MacKinnon's going to win it. It just is what it is. I'm not mad about who's going to win it. I'm just mad about the disrespect and the placement of where each guy is on that list.
Okay. Just kidding.
little. I'll take a little bit of win. That's for sure. The Flyers signed their goaltender Ivan Fedotov, so he became the tallest goalie in NHL history at 6'8". But let's be honest, now that it's been a couple weeks, this kid's start to the NHL has not been good. The Flyers have been on an absolute downtrend. Sam Erson's not good. And Fedotov, I don't know who their goalie was before that, but I don't know why they shook things up. They were playing well.
Ersson.
Yeah, but who else was it? Erson's still there. Who was their third goalie?
Christ, I don't know. I hate Philly.
I don't know.
I don't follow.
I mean, does anyone have like Fedotov's numbers? Like, is he still playing good? Because even though he had a losing record in Russia, he still had a good percentage.
He is not playing well. Where was he? Well, they won last night for the first time in a while, and it was Sam Ersson who only let in one goal. But the game before that, it was Fedotov's first start, I believe. They lost 9-3 to Montreal that game. Fedotov let in 4 goals on 9 shots, and Ersson let in 5 goals on 12 shots. 4 goals on 13 shots for Fedotov. So he had an 889 goals against average and a 692 save percentage. And to date so far, he has 3 games played, 1 started, 10 goals against, 1 loss, 1 overtime loss, 4.96 goals against, so basically 5 goals against, 0.811 save percentage, so 81%. Like,
Jesus.
He is not doing very good in terms of helping this team win. Now, the team is falling apart defensively. Like, there's no doubt about that. But
good.
He's not.
I'm here for it.
Picking up the needle. Yeah, sure. I don't care about.
Yeah, you would be here for it.
I'm loving it. Lose some more games, boys. There's only 3 games left in the regular season. Go for it. Miss playoffs.
Yeah. Oh, they're done. Yeah, I think that they're almost at a 0% chance now. They're cooked.
I'm loving it. Good job, boys.
Per Chris Johnston on X, Simon Benoit signed a 3-year extension with the Leafs, carrying a $1.35 million AAV. That's because they have no cap now, so they had to sign players they have for cheap. Back to MacKinnon, though, a little bit. We can talk about this. MacKinnon now holds the longest home point streak since Wayne Gretzky in 1988-89, and the second longest all time. So Gretzky hit 40 games, MacKinnon hit 35, and then Gretzky at 33, Guy Lafleur at 32, Brian Trottier and Lemieux tied for 31. Now, I read this. Okay, I just want to say this is kind of the stupidest thing I've ever heard. It said, despite his streak snapping at 35 home games, do you think he has a chance of breaking Gretzky's 40 at any point in his career? Okay. Whoever said that, there's only 41 home games in a year. He would have to score in every single home game to beat Gretzky's record. Like, it's not even knocking MacKinnon. It is nothing. The fact that anyone would score in every home game of a season makes no sense to me. Like, I think Gretzky did score in every home game that year because there was less teams, so I think he legit scored in 40 out of 40 home games. But that was Wayne Gretzky. We're talking about today's NHL. 35, I don't think anyone will ever break that again. Like, absolutely incredible feat by MacKinnon. Such a good job. But there's no way anyone scores 100% of their home games in this day and age anymore. It's just not possible. What are your guys' thoughts?
He's nuts.
Yeah, but what are your thoughts on him scoring more than 40 games in a row at home? Do you think
he's proven that he's the best player in the NHL this year?
Do you think
That's all
he's
I need
going
to
to
say.
do it, Dallas?
Do you think he can score 40 straight home games in a row?
Good.
Oh my
You
god.
think-
But he played. This is the point, though, with Colorado is that they can beat good teams, but they'll lose against shit teams.
That's
And
not
when
the
they-
question. That's
not the
again, you're avoiding the question.
Do you
That's
think
the same thing. He'll do good at
No,
home.
it's not.
Like,
No, it's not that. It's
Do you
he's
think-
scored in 35 consecutive home games. Do you think he's going to break that record? Or do you think he's going to
Next
break
year, or the
Gretzky's
year
record
after?
at all during
'Cause
his
it end-
career?
it
Do you think
ended.
he's going to have another streak like that, Dallas?
yes, he can. He probably will.
Okay. Do you think,
think he's gonna
anyone will
break
ever
Gretzky's?
break it?
Yes.
So he'll
You
score
know,
100%.
I don't even know if that's going to be a thought in MacKinnon's mind though. Like I don't think, oh hey, let's try to
No.
break that. Like
It won't be, because it was a record that no one thought about until he started.
He's literally
playing.
the only other player other than Gretzky who has had even a record close like that. So he's still in talks with Gretzky. So go.
I mean,
Guy Lafleur was
but he
only
might
one
not
guy.
ever do that again, which is fine. He'll still be an insane.
He still
player.
did it, right? I mean, yeah, he still
like,
did
he did
it.
it once. Like I don't think
'Cause-
there's going to be a whole lot of other guys that will do it.
No, I don't think it'll be broken, personally, because think about it. You could score in 20 straight or away games, but not score in 5 of your first 20 home games, and it's already over.
Watch Duran do it next year. He'll
Just-
get 36. He'll be like, "Yeah, bud, you're done. You're dust."
Because it's literally like we're talking about straight, too. 35 straight games. Not 35 games throughout the year he scored a point at home. He did not go a game for 35 straight home games. That's 7/8 of the season without scoring a point at home. Like, that's incredible. I just don't think that's that much consistency. I don't think it's possible to continue that just by fluke. It comes down to statistical probability at that point, and statistical probability is not on anyone's side, considering it hasn't been done since basically Gretzky until this one fantastic year by MacKinnon.
You know what?
So what does that tell you?
I think it'll come close again for MacKinnon if that team has a consistently good team. I think you get rid of if they don't have the same team they have this year, or let's say 5 years down the road, and they're just, they're kind of like a mid-tier team. I don't think MacKinnon comes close to 35 again. But I think if you continuously have a dynasty team with him, he could do it. Could,
I mean,
So
maybe.
So basically, pre 2017 to 2013 Avs. Dog shit.
But I even want to say this, though. Like, McDavid did not even do that when he scored 153 points last year. He scored 16 more points. 16 more points than MacKinnon has right now. And even he didn't have that kind of a streak through that record-breaking season.
You know what, though? I think it also comes down to the toughness of the players around him, too. If McDavid falls apart, the whole team falls apart. MacKinnon falls apart. Guess who's going to pick up where he left off? Makar, maybe Duran, maybe. But I don't think
Dude,
he's
the
gonna pick up
Oilers
that
are
much
literally
slack.
one hive mind with MacKinnon, McDavid. He's like the hive mind, and fucking if he has a bad day, Draisaitl, Nurse, Bouchard, Skinner, everybody, done.
There's no other hero on that team. But
One of us.
if MacKinnon has an off day, well, you got 3 or 4 other guys that'll be like, it's all right, dude.
Yeah, true. I don't know. That was just something I wanted to debate because I just couldn't believe that someone said, well, do you think he'll break Gretzky's record? It's like asking if he would break Gretzky's goal scoring record.
It's more
wonderful
possible
player,
than
but there's no
the
shot.
Leafs making it past round 2.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Dude, we're talking about him scoring in 100% of games at home versus a team winning 8 out of 14 games.
But versus a team that's literally a goaltender away from being good. Actually, you know what? A goaltender
and a whole
maybe
blue line.
3. Yeah, I was just gonna say, and at least 3 defensemen.
But they're also playing. They're going to be playing Florida in the first round, and Sergei Bobrovsky, yes, was fantastic last year, but he's also known to be a playoff sieve.
I mean, he's
I
also
wish Rad.
but you know what though? He's had a good season this season. Usually, like I don't know,
that's what he does.
but Bobrovsky's hot in the playoffs, and then we'll have a crappy season.
Yeah. Okay, I heard this the other day, and it reminded me. Sergei Bobrovsky has 2 Vezina trophies. That is ridiculous.
Also, what's going on with Spencer Knight though? Like, is he just still sitting in the AHL right now?
Yep.
That's wild.
He only came back a little bit ago. From whatever he did.
Well, he had that, like, he was in the players' assistants, I think.
Right.
But, like, since then, he's been nowhere to be seen.
Yeah. But if you go over, like, if you put a poll up of which Russian goalie has the most Vezina trophies, Bobrovsky's ahead of Vasilevsky. Like, that is an abomination of a statistic.
Yeah, but he's also been around longer than Vasilevsky.
Only a couple years at this point now.
And you know what? He was probably in the best. Or no, he never played for Washington. Never mind.
He was in Columbus.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I was like, he was on Washington though, so he was nuts. But no, you're right. Columbus.
No, that was Varlamov.
No, I was thinking of Holtby.
Oh yeah. That's a guy who definitely deserved his. But I'm just thinking, like, Sergei Bobrovsky has more Vezina trophies than Shesterkin, Vasilevsky, Sorokin.
And then you look at Columbus now. Garbage.
Merzlikins.
Yeah.
Man, I wish fucking Radko Gudas was still on Florida just so he can scream in Joseph Wall's face again after Florida beats Toronto in the playoffs.
Buddy, if anybody is missing Radko Gudas right now, it could be Tampa.
I love Radko.
True.
He's the biggest beauty, man. I even remember, like, this was like 10, 15 years ago now. Not 15, 10 something years ago. And Tampa unveiled fake third jerseys, and they brought all the players in the room to look at them. And it was palm tree jerseys. And everyone was like, are you joking? Like, these are the ugliest things I've ever seen. And everyone was so mad. And Radko came in and he was like, these are so sick. We gotta wear these every night. These are the best jerseys.
I'd wear these to bed.
He said, I wear these to bed. These are the best jerseys I've ever seen. And no other player liked them. Not one. And he was the only one that was just like, this is the best.
I wonder if he got to keep that jersey, like, as a joke. Just like, I wonder if he was like, I'm taking this home.
Probably. Why not? It's not like they ever used it, wore it, or sold it, so.
Fair.
I would. I'd take it. I mean, someone made it for some reason. Someone out there has that jersey. Like, it's somewhere. Because they wouldn't just burn it. Like,
I mean, they might. They might have just junked it, dude.
They did like a team ritual ceremony out on a beach with like masks on and like just christened it. Die, Devil jersey. Gudas is there crying like it's his baby being sacrificed. Okay, lots of point. Like, this has been crazy, man. The end of the year, like, all these guys are just on the same point track. So I don't know. All these records have been broken. So we have Corey Perry hit 1,300 NHL games. John Tavares hit 1,100 NHL games. John Carlson hit 1,000 NHL games. Jeff Skinner hit 1,000 NHL games. Connor Hellebuck hit 500 NHL games. And then we had, what was this for? The first duo in Maple Leafs history with back-to-back 40-goal seasons. We had Matthews and Nylander break that record for the Leafs. Crosby tied Gretzky for the most consecutive points, or averaging a point per game for 19 seasons. So he tied. So talk about a record that is incredible. 19 straight seasons recording a point per game, tying Gretzky. He already has the most seasons ever at over a point per game. Marchand hit the 40-goal mark. Most assists in a season in the Cap era. McDavid and Kucherov tied Joe Thornton at 96, and now they passed him with 99 and 98. Brady Tkachuk, he recorded the most hits in a single game in NHL history since they've been tracking hits with 16. Then we had the 60 goal scorers. Everyone in history with multiple 60-plus goal seasons. Gretzky, Bossy, Lemieux, Esposito, Hull, Pavel Bure, Steve Yzerman, Yari Curry, and Austin Matthews. So good for Matthews, man. I always forget how good Yzerman was. Yzerman is on this list with the 600 plus goal seasons, and I think he's on the list. Was he on the list of 100 assists, guys? Too? No, maybe he wasn't. I don't know, but he was on another NHL list for something. Oh, it was 1,000 assists, or he was on the 1,000 assist list that Crosby just broke into. And I was like, holy cow, like Yzerman kind of secretly, he was always a good player, but he's really up there on some of these statistical levels.
I wouldn't say secretly. I feel like Yzerman's star power was well known.
I knew about his star power, but I didn't know about his point totals. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have that same
fake fan.
for him. I was never a fan of Yzerman.
Buddy, he was literally your GM, bud.
Yeah, I love him as a GM, but I knew nothing about him really as a Red Wings player. I take full ownership of that lack of knowledge in myself. Quick became the winningest goaltender in U.S. goalie history. We had history made in Cincinnati in the ECHL? That the Cincinnati Cyclones were the first team in history of professional hockey to start a lineup featuring 5 black skaters. They started Jalen Smerrick, Lando Cato, Josh Burnside, Kyle Bowlers, and Elijah Gonzalez. They all made hockey history. So that comes after the AHL had Akil Thomas, Quinton Byfield, and Bakonji Imama, I think it was, become the first all-black line to start in the AHL, and then Tampa had Jamel Smith, Matthew Joseph, and I don't know who the third one was. But they were the first NHL team to do an all-black first line in the NHL, so good to see that continues to grow in the game. Already talked about that. Now, more statistics. 100 points for Rantanen, 100 points for Draisaitl, 100 points for JT Miller. Draisaitl also being the first German player ever to get 500 assists, so he has 500 career assists. Johnny Gaudreau also has 500 career NHL assists now, and Crosby hit 1,000 career NHL assists. So just loads and loads of statistics that just came out these last couple of days. I don't know how these guys all ended up at the end of the year. They all just lined up with these records, but it's good to see. And then we got a bunch of college kids. A lot of college kids have come out and they started signing with some NHL teams, so we can see where these guys end up. We had the Leafs sign Jacob Quillian to a 2-year entry-level contract. And for any of those who hear this, for these college kids, if it's a 2-year contract, it's technically only a 1-year because there's only about 5 games left this season and then the playoffs. So these kids are signing, burning a year of their contract basically, and then being a 1-year deal. Same with 3-year contracts. There's only going to be 2 years left on that deal once this year ends. So Quillian signed a 2-year entry-level deal from Quinnipiac. The Sharks sign other Quinnipiac, Colin Graff. He signed a 3-year entry-level contract. Canes signed Scott Morrow to a 3-year entry-level contract, and they also signed Bradley Nadeau to a 3-year entry-level contract. Dallas Stars sign Hobey Baker Award candidate Ben Cross to a 1-year entry-level contract. So he's going to end. He's going to be a UFA as soon as the year ends. Ducks signed Sam Colangelo to a 2-year. Lane Hootson today just signed his entry-level contract with the Habs. He'll join the team in a couple days. Leafs signed Cade Weber, who they acquired from Carolina in their trade at the deadline, to a 2-year contract. And then keeping it in college, we can talk about this. Macklin Celebrini is the 2024 Hobey Baker winner, the youngest player to win the award at just 17, 64 points in 38 games at Boston University this year. Just crazy stats. And they got upset last night in the Frozen Four, boys. Denver knocked them out. Game 1.
Denver's always been a powerhouse when it comes to college hockey, though.
Yeah.
You can have a guy like Celebrini. I still think like Denver and Boston are just, they're always going to be a good program.
Yeah. They had Lane Hudson, too. That was their other guy on defense. Like, they were a great team, but they just couldn't pull it out. Sad news in the ECHL here. We had that huge story earlier in the year of Terry Ryan coming out of retirement, playing for the Newfoundland Growlers. It was obviously what we know today. That was a big money grab because now the Newfoundland Growlers have had their membership terminated from the ECHL, and the Habs affiliate will also potentially, well, they're finishing the year, but it sounds like there might not be any future for them beyond that. So
Oh, you're talking about
The
ECHL
Habs.
still. I thought you were
Yeah,
talking
they're-
about Laval for a second. I was like, wait,
No.
Laval's leaving? No.
No, sorry. They're ECHL affiliate. Laval's
Trois
affiliate.
Riviere.
Yeah. Trois Riviere. Thank you, Deli. Yeah, so you never want to see this. Like, literally, Newfoundland's players are all just automatic free agents, not eligible for the playoffs. Like, just waste of a year, unfortunately, which sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, that was what, a week or two ago that happened?
It was announced that they were potentially going to, but it was only a couple days ago, like 4 or 5 days ago, that it officially came down that Newfoundland was done.
I mean, at least they're only free agents for like a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. If they ever get picked up again, though, like, that was guaranteed contracts. Some of those guys are on multi-year deals, and they all got axed. Right? Now, they are getting compensation to the end of the year, but it's not to the level that their contracts were.
No.
So, you hate to hear that for hockey. And Newfoundland will eventually get a team back, but this was their only team in all of Newfoundland. So,
They used to have the St. John's Ice Caps.
exactly. And now there's, they have the QMJHL and stuff, but don't they?
There's no
that's
Q team there.
Is
St.
it Nova
John's used to
Scotia
be
or New
AHL.
Brunswick? Is it Nova Scotia or New Brunswick? Which St.
No,
John?
you're thinking St. John,
The Sea
New
Dogs.
Brunswick as SAINT.
Oh, okay.
St. John's is ST period John's.
There we go.
Newfoundland.
I can never figure those two out.
I know there's two.
If it was like one on Vancouver Island and one in Newfoundland, it would be very easy to determine which one's which. But
Right, like
because
you
they're
call
right
Vancouver Island Vancouver, but Vancouver's on the mainland.
Yeah, exactly. All the goals now. Everyone who scored goals, we got all the goal stats here. Matthews hit 66. He hit 67 now. So he's the most goals in a single season by an active player, and most goals in a single season in the cap era since Ovechkin.
He's got 68 now.
68, even more. MacKinnon hit 50 goals. Ovechkin became the first player in league history to score 30 goals in 18 seasons. So what a record. I mean, you have to score that kind of a record to be close to Gretzky at this point. Crosby hit the 1,000 assists. I already said that. The PWHL announced their championship cup, which is kind of neat. It's called the Walter Cup. It's made by, I think, Tiffany & Co. Is that who made it?
Like the jewelry store?
Yeah. Like Tiffany & Co. released it. Yeah, by Tiffany & Co. Yep. So it's going to have the PWHL puck shattering the glass ceiling on the very bottom of it. It has hockey tape in a, whatever, like a stick with tape on it on the bottom and the top. Rays of light signifying the dawn of a new era in women's hockey are going to be coming from the top of it. It has, the hockey sticks. 6 W's around the cup commemorating the original 6 teams. And it's going to have skate marks on the interior of it. So I'll post that picture up too with all the other ones. But cool to see that they've got their trophy made and by Tiffany & Co. And that Tiffany & Co. didn't really want sponsorship. They're calling it the Walter Cup. So that's neat as well. Okay, we already talked about that. Quinn Hughes broke a record. Not broke, but joined the record books. He became the 4th different U.S.-born defenseman in NHL history to get 70 assists in a season, joining Brian Leetch 3 times, Phil Housley, got 79 in 1992-93, and Gary Sutter in 1970, or 70 assists in 1987-88. So that's Ryan Suter's dad, Gary Suter. But yeah, Quinn's haven't had. You think he's winning the Norris? Quinn for
Nope.
Norris? Really?
Makar.
It's going to Quinn.
Quinn had more of a drop off since the All-Star game.
I don't know, man. Where is he? Is he here? He has 91 points. Where's Makar? Makar only has 87. From what I've heard, it's going to Hughes.
I don't know. I mean, 4 points out. I think Makar could definitely catch up.
He could, for sure.
If Hughes wins it, great, but
this is not even my personal opinion. This is just what I've heard, is that it's going to Hughes at this point. That they think that he has been the best defender this year in the NHL. Like the voters. That's what the votes seem to be swaying towards. Because I don't care. Like, I think it should be Victor Hedman, personally.
Yeah, you would think that, bud.
Hey, he's still top 3, okay? He's still top 3. I was not wrong about that. In the NHLPA poll, he was voted as who's the hardest defender to play against in their own end. Victor Hedman was voted as that. So
good for Hedman, man.
Yeah, thanks. Makar was voted the top defenseman, though, in the NHLPA. Deservedly so. What do we got? Frank Zaravalli released that Jack Hughes is undergoing shoulder surgery and will be out for the rest of the year. So even though the Devils are right in the middle of a playoff race, clearly they're announcing they're done because they're just getting rid of their best player. So they're just basically saying, yeah, we're out. Which I guess to each their own in that one. Jakob Silfverberg has announced he will be retiring from the NHL at the end of the season after 12 years. So congrats to Silfverberg. A guy who should have left Anaheim and could have been had a different career, but he just kind of
I think early stages in Anaheim, Silfverberg was sick, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Then his hype just kind of died down.
He came in when Getzlaf was like 31 and really helped revitalize that age of the Ducks to be decent playoff teams. But yeah, him and Henrique kind of came in and helped them out a little bit, and then it just all fell apart. And yeah, Landon Dupont, we did talk about him, but he joins John Tavares, Aaron Ekblad, Connor McDavid, Sean Day, Joe Veleno, Shane Wright, Connor Bedard, Michael Misa, and now himself as the only players to receive exceptional status in the CHL, and only, again, the second behind Bedard in the WHL. Are any of those? Yeah, Joe Veleno's the only one in the queue, isn't he?
Yep.
Ever?
St. John, Sea Dogs.
So not all these are hits. Like, there's 2 busts in here, Day and Veleno, and potentially Shane Wright as well. So really, this is not, when you look at this list.
I mean, since his call-up, hasn't he been all right?
Yeah, he's got like 5 points in 4 games. He's been good. But we're talking about John Tavares, generational talent, Aaron Ekblad, probably just under generational talent, but very solid NHL defender, Connor McDavid, the generational talent. Then the next 3 years almost seemed like they were forced. Sean Day 2013, Joe Veleno 2015, and then Shane Wright 2019. All who probably didn't need the exceptional status, but got it. And I think that's what the QMJHL realized. They were like, yeah, we gave this out way too soon. And they just stopped doing it. But then you've had Bedard, Misa, and now Dupont. So Bedard and Misa, you could argue that McKenna should have got it, right? With Matt Hatt.
Yeah, McKinnon probably should have gotten it.
He probably should have got it, considering how good he's been. But other than that, like, there's a chance that these miss. There's only 9. There's only 9 players ever who have got it, and 3 of them aren't necessarily breakaway stud NHL players, and one's not even in the NHL. And the most notable thing Joe Veleno did was try to stomp on Nino Niederreiter recently.
Didn't he just stand up for himself against somebody too? I thought he fought somebody recently.
He did, yeah. But again, he's a bust. Okay. I think this is the last note before our Battle of the Tarps. We have teams who have clinched playoff spots in the West: Dallas, Colorado, Winnipeg, Vancouver, Edmonton, Nashville. And in the East, we have Boston, Florida, Toronto, Tampa, New York, and Carolina, New York Rangers. So the bubble race in the East is crazy. The West is pretty much settled. St. Louis probably isn't going to catch up, and it's just going to be the way it is. It's going to be Vegas and LA clinching the last 2 spots. But the East is crazy.
Speaking of Vegas, though, you said one thing about Saravalli coming out with something. He come out with another thing saying how convenient it is that Mark Stone magically is good enough to join practice 1 week before playoffs. Again. For the second year straight.
And 3 days after Hurdle just came back?
Yeah.
Sus.
It's a joke. It is.
Something's got to be investigated. You have a lacerated spleen. That sounds like something serious, that sounds like something he wouldn't be back for until, maybe conference finals.
Yeah.
If that.
And people were arguing, but he has to be medically, it has to be medically investigated. And it's well, I think it's bogus because, like you said, it should be a lot longer for a lacerated spleen. This is almost looking too intentional. You know what I mean? Purposely. He's coming just in time for Vegas to make that last push for the last Western playoff spot. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and I feel I don't know, to bring him back to practice a week
before
is a little bit more sus. If it was maybe first round of the playoffs, maybe game 2, game 3, he came back, there'd be a little bit less of an argument from me, but it's you're bringing him back so soon. It just seems unrealistic.
If it happens one more time next year, I think shit's going to go down.
It can't happen again. They can't have anyone on IR next year. Unless we physically see, Mikhail Sergachev snap his leg in half. If we see that happen to, Pietrangelo, sure, he can go on LTIR. But...
No, I meant with Mark Stone.
No, I know. I'm talking about, Vegas in general as a team. The NHL will have to look at them next year. If someone has
sounds like a serious injury. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They have broken ribs and they need surgery to replace them or something.
But you know what? Even Stamkos that 1 year, what was it? Whatever injury he came back 1 game for, did what he could. I'm pretty sure he scored a goal game. But he was so injured that he was okay, that
wasn't it
the
his
one
back?
game.
It was just a core. He tore his core. That's all he did.
If it was the finals and it was must-win games and Mark Stone was you know what, I want to be a part of this. Sure, guys play through the playoffs with broken ribs, but it happened during the playoffs, not months ago or weeks ago.
Or a game or two. There's it's game 81 or game 80, and it's nothing I can do about it now, so I just have to play through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, same thing. I can't believe everything that they've got to go their way with this. And as a team, a fan of a team who had Kucherov miss a whole year due to hip surgery, which again is definitely subject to open concept, but why Tampa is still held as the team that's the irresponsible team that cheated with this is really Kane did it in Chicago, then Tampa did it, and now Vegas has done it, and Colorado did it with Landeskog when they beat Tampa. Landeskog came out, and I'm not mad at that. It's just what happened. But now Vegas has done it twice. And that is looking way more suspect. Like, teams do it once and go, okay, like, maybe we got away with like an extra month where Kucherov actually could have came back, but we said he'd be out for the year, so he has to stay out. Same with Landeskog. We said he'd be out for the year, he has to stay out. Same with Patrick Kane. We said he'd be out for the year. We have to keep him out. But Mark Stone, back-to-back, February, January injuries just before trade deadline. They added Noah Hanafin and Tomas Hertl because they didn't have Mark Stone.
Well, you know what? It'd be if Mark Stone came out on the ice for a practice, not in gear, but just skates and a stick, just skating with the boys or something. Whatever. But he came out in full gear.
Yeah, exactly. And
who did that? I don't know. I don't know if it was no contact gear. Like
he had a
wearing...
red no contact. Yeah.
Okay, but I don't know.
But comparably, so exactly what you're saying. So I don't know if you saw this, but Sergachev, miraculously, he was at practice the other day. He was in a red no contact jersey participating in practice. But for the last 2 weeks, they've showed videos of him on the ice, no gear, skating. There's been none of that from Vegas. Like, and Sergachev admitted it. They're like, "Oh, you're practicing, good for you." He said, "Yeah, but like the day after I skate, I'm like crying the whole day." Like, he's admitting that he's not close to coming back. He's just basically strengthening his leg.
Yeah, that, or he wants to be a part of something, with the boys, just hang out with the guys. I could see that, but literally your first day, you're back in full gear.
Exactly. And looking fine.
Yeah.
Smiling, hitting all the fans and everything. Like, you look just fine, man. You look just fine. And like, and it sucks because someone is going to get the Vegas Golden Knights in the first round with Mark Stone, Tomas Hertl,
probably
and Noah
Edmonton.
Hanafin all added. And it could be. It literally could be. Because right now, let's go to the wild card. It's going to be, you know what? It's going to be Dallas. If it ended today.
There you go.
It would be Edmonton, LA. Oh, LA did clinch. Oh, Vegas clinched. Seattle's or St. Louis is out. Never mind. The playoffs are set in the West now, as of today. So it's Vancouver, Edmonton, LA. So Edmonton versus LA. And then Vegas versus Dallas. Winnipeg versus Colorado. And Nashville versus Vancouver.
Ooh, Winnipeg, Colorado. That's going to be a tight series.
They're tied at 104 points.
I think that's going to be an absolute battle. And that's going to be good hockey. Yeah. That's going to be good hockey.
Right now, Winnipeg has home ice advantage, but they're tied in points. So they're literally both 49, 24, and 6. Like, exact same records.
Literally down to the wire.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Dallas Stars have had a heck of a year. They've been a fantastic team. Do they deserve to play the Vegas Golden Knights in the first round, the reigning Stanley Cup champions who didn't lose anybody other than Riley Smith and added Tomas Hertl, added Noah Hanafin, re-added Mark Stone, who was didn't he win the Conn Smythe in the playoffs? Was it Mark Stone?
Most likely.
I think. Yeah, it was him or Marchessault. But no, it wasn't Marchessault because they were like...
could it have been Eichel?
I think you're right. I think it was Eichel. You're right. But either way, I think it's just not fair to Dallas, who's had a fantastic season, that's their reward for clinching first overall and maybe winning the President's Trophy. Congrats, you win the President's Trophy. Here's the Stanley Cup champ from last year.
But yeah, here's the Stanley Cup champions and a magically fully healthy team to play against.
Yeah. They're the deepest 4 lines. By the way, they have 8 NHL defensemen because somehow they didn't trade Hague to Calgary. Like, oh, Martinez is injured. Guess what? They have Nick Hague. Oh, McNabb is injured. Guess what? They have Zach Whitecloud in the freaking rafters, not even playing. Like, that's a joke. That pair was their best defensive pairing in terms of like their first pair's job was to shut down the top line. The second pair's job was to shut down the next best line. But the third pair just shut everyone else down. There was no one that got past that White Cloud Hag pair in the playoffs last year. And to think that that's D7 and 8 is a joke right now. Like, I'm frustrated for anyone in the West because they're now for you, Dally. Vegas Golden Knights fall in the Central Division playoff bracket, not in the Pacific. So if they beat Dallas and Colorado beats Winnipeg, Colorado meets Vegas. Round 2. Could be out second round. Now,
Well, we lost to Vegas a few years ago too.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, Edmonton fans are the only ones screaming hallelujah that they don't have to verse them in the Pacific bracket.
Not for long.
And honestly, who knows? Vancouver could even struggle against LA.
Vancouver versus Nashville.
Oh, Nashville. Oh, they'll definitely struggle against Nashville.
Well, you know what? Actually, sorry. If I didn't see, Vegas is only 1 point behind LA, so Vegas could play Edmonton first round.
The other day I saw it,
LA,
it started
Dallas.
today. It was going to be Vegas, Edmonton.
LA must have won today because they passed them. They're back in third with 95 points. Vegas has 94. But either way, like, Vegas Golden Knights, if they're no matter what division they're in, like, that team could take everyone out. Doesn't matter what team it is.
Yeah.
And they're a second wildcard team right now. But like, it's not like that in the East. It's not like I'm talking about Pittsburgh being hot. I believe in Tampa. They're playing a lot better lately. But it's not like to say that those teams can't lose. It feels like Vegas just won't lose. You know what I mean? Like, they're just too good come playoffs.
Like, it wouldn't even be surprising if they just went 4, 4, 4, and 4. Like, just straight.
Yeah, they're that good.
I mean, I don't think they will go undefeated, but they're a team that, like, you could see go undefeated in a playoff scenario.
Yeah, true.
If they're healthy. I mean, if Mark Stone magically just superhuman in playoffs.
Again. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't really want to risk coming back from a torn spleen so early. Like, and this one thing too is everyone's like super excited at the beginning of playoffs, so like body checking is way higher in the first couple days. Like, it just goes crazy because everyone's like, we just got to get out there and hit everything. So it's like, I'd want to wait till like game 3 and be like, hey, everyone hit each other 500 times. Like, now they're going to settle in. Like, teams have to win and they have to start playing smart. So it settles down a little bit after the first couple games. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think. It'll be interesting to see. Everyone was a Vegas fan, including myself. I think like, even last year. Like,
and,
no,
and now you just see that they're snakes.
Yeah, like with their like them being an expansion team and everything that they've done, it was a good feel-good story. This year it feels dirty. It just doesn't feel clean coming out of Vegas. In my heart of hearts. Okay, well, let's jump over to our Battle of the Tarps. This is the end of our episode here. Like I mentioned last episode, we're done game day reviews, too close to the end of the year to restart a third cycle through, so we're done with those for the year. But we're going into our Battle of the Tarps here. So we have our April round robin number 1. We have the away jersey in the QMJHL of the Cape Breton Eagles or the Screaming Eagles, whichever one you prefer. And then we have the away jersey in the KIJHL, our Junior A League, for Spokane Braves. I don't know who wants to start first, if you guys can see those. But go ahead and break them down.
I'm not gonna lie, I think I'm gonna have to go with wait, what was the one team there?
The Braves, Spokane.
Yeah, I think I'd go for Spokane. But like, I mean, they're two to me, they're like unappealing jerseys. I guess it's really just there's not really much done jersey wise. But if I had to pick one, it would probably be the Braves.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Braves too, and here's kind of my thought on it. is the Braves are just a KIJHL team, which last year was just a junior B team in hockey. So we're talking about budgets not being very high, all that. We're talking about the Cape Breton Eagles in the QMJHL, and this is what they came up with. Like, this is as budget costing as it gets. They put all the effort into the logo, which is decent, but then it's just yellow stripe, black stripe. That's it.
Well,
Nothing else really invested in it.
they rebranded back in 2019, and they used to have a screaming eagle that literally, instead of that logo, it would be front facing, and you'd see its talons
Mm-hmm.
coming out and its wings out, like as if it's coming to like grab a fish out of the water, right? But
Yep.
the rebranded logo as what we're seeing now is pretty nice. I love it, but I'm very biased. Okay, I have family out in Cape Breton. I've been to the Center 200 in Sydney, Nova Scotia. I've seen a few Eagles games. I'm gonna go with them. I love their jerseys. I love the franchise. You know, greatest player to come out of the Cape Breton Screaming Eagles, Marc-Andre Fleury, baby. Got to go with the
Yep.
Eagles jerseys. I don't care how simple it is. It's just simple. I don't
You
care if
gotta
it's just
respect the
one
family
stripe, two
ties.
stripe, three stripe, blue fish, red fish, whatever. It's fucking simple. I love it. It's perfect.
Fair enough. Got to respect the family ties there. So, as always, we'll put this up on our social media. Go vote on our poll. Let us know who you think deserves to win this April round robin Battle of the Tarps. And then last month, we actually had a shorter Battle of the Tarps segment. So we only managed 2 episodes because everything was so hectic. We were focusing mostly on our trade deadline special. That was kind of our big March deal ticket. If you haven't watched that, I know it's kind of old news, but go back, watch it. We break down everything in full depth on the trade deadline that happened in March. But because of that, we only had 2 episodes of Battle of the Tarps. So for March, we're jumping straight to the March final. So our March round robins, which actually ended up being our March semifinals, came with Portage Terriers winning and Nipawin Hawks winning. So we have Portage versus Nipawin in the March final. So give me your thoughts, boys. Who we thinking for the March final?
Well, for me, it's kind of a tough between these one because you got one white jersey and one, I guess what I would assume is a home jersey.
I believe they were, yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of an unfair advantage, but I'm honestly going to go with the Terriers. I like the look of that Dallas Stars green. I love the Terriers logo. Not really too much of a fan of the Hawks logo. Just kind of seems like a poorly designed logo. I mean, it's a decent logo, but I don't know. It's not Portridge.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the MJHL Portage Terriers too. I love it. It's clean, simple, Dallas Star vibes. Love the logo too.
Oh, I'm at an impasse here because you know what? I think that's so sick that they just used a little terrier on their
Big
logo.
T, yeah.
I love it. I think it's so cool. But I genuinely do like everything that Nipawin has done with their jerseys. I like the color distribution. I like the way they've done it. Yeah, you're right, Dak. Like the way they spelled Hawks, it's like it's got weird kind of clunkiness to it, and then the Hawk wings. They should have just extended the W into the Hawk wings or something. I don't know why they did it the way they did it. But I love the jersey of the Hawks, but I love the logo of the Terriers. So for me, I think I am going to give it to Portage just because of that. But it's close.
Clean sweep.
Other than that, though, everyone, that's it. Episode 28 of Gameday Tarps podcast. As always, follow us, subscribe to us, download our episodes on all of the streaming services out there. Please follow us on all social medias at Gameday Tarps, everywhere you can find it. Again, just thank you all for listening. We appreciate it. We're coming up on episode 30, so we're pumped and hope everyone has a great night. Thanks again.